One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that if something is legal, it must also be right. History does not support that idea. If anything, history warns us against it. Some of the clearest injustices we can name were not acts of lawlessness. They were written into law, defended by institutions, and enforced by people who thought they were upholding order. Slavery was protected by law. The Fugitive Slave Act required officials to help seize people accused of escaping slavery. In Dred Scott, the Supreme Court said enslaved people were not citizens and had no claim to federal protection. All of that was legal. None of that was right. The same thing happened with segregation. Plessy versus Ferguson upheld separate but equal. Rosa Parks was arrested under a segregation ordinance that the city treated as legitimate. It took decades, sacrifice, and civil disobedience before the country began to admit that those laws were unjust. When we look back now, we do not admire those laws because they were legal. We condemn them because they were wrong. Even in wartime, legality did not guarantee justice. Executive Order 9066 authorized the exclusion and incarceration of Japanese Americans, and decades later, the federal government formally acknowledged that injustice and apologized. That matters because it reminds us that a policy can have authority, procedure, and official approval and still fail morally. So the point is not that the law never matters. The point is that legality and morality are not the same thing. Legal philosophy has long distinguished the existence of a law from its merit, and Martin Luther King Jr. argued that an unjust law is out of harmony with that moral law. That is not extremism, that is moral seriousness. And I think this is where we still struggle now, because most people are not taught to evaluate systems by consistent principles. We are taught, often without realizing it, to defend our side. Psychology research on motivated reasoning and partisan bias shows that people routinely seek out, believe, and remember information that supports the group they identify with. In plain English, that means people often think they are defending truth when they are really defending identity. I am not saying that from some position above it. I have had political views for most of my life. I have voted a certain way for most of my life. But that does not mean I should stop questioning the people or institutions I usually agree with. If I only care about principles when the other side violates them, then I do not actually have principles. I have preferences. And that is why this matters today. Whether the issue is surveillance, emergency power, censorship, spending, policing, or any other modern controversy, the first question cannot just be, is it legal? Or did my side approve it? Modern systems often reward loyalty before accountability, and institutions often ask for trust before they have earned it. If we do not ask deeper questions about power, incentives, and rights, then we will keep repeating an old mistake in new forms. So the framework is simple. Do not ask only whether something is allowed. Ask whether it is right. Do not ask only who supports it. Ask whether you would support it if the roles were reversed. Do not confuse order with justice or legality with morality. Because history is full of legal systems that failed the test, and if your standard changes depending on who holds power, then it is not a principle. It is just loyalty.